In this tutorial we're going to be working with the original photo here to the left and creating what you see on the right. So you can see there's quite a big difference in clarity between the images, a lot of sharpness in the right hand side image, good colour saturation, and you can see just a lot more details, especially if you look around his eyes. The reflection in his eyes just stands out a lot more. Detail in his hair is much more prominent. So we're going to use both the PhotoMaster kit and the standalone actions to achieve the same look. So let's begin. Let's close this down and open up our... what we're going to do is firstly use the PhotoMaster kit. So just go inside the PhotoMaster folder, click on Launch PhotoMaster, open up the PhotoMaster PSD file, then select our photo. So now Photoshop will set up the template for us to work with. Here we can see the dimensions that the image size is set up to, so I'm pretty happy with this size, so we can click OK. Okay, so firstly what we want to do is let's take a look at the enhanced action, which will increase contrast, brightness, a little bit of sharpness and color saturation. So it gives us a good quick overview of the image with some general enhancements. So let's click play. So that's looking okay. Opacity is set to 70%, so let's drag this to the left to 0 and right to 100 so we can see the effect. So let's start from 0 and drag to the right. I think somewhere close to the 50% mark is good. So next we want to jump in and have a look at some contrast. So if we go inside our contrast folder, let's go into contrast for light images and start at the bottom. So we can just tick these folders on to see the effect. So 11's looking pretty good. So is 10. Let's go with 10. Drag this opacity of the folder to 0, then to 100, and back to 0, and then let's drag to the right to get something that we're happy with. I think about 40% is looking good. So let's close this down, and next what we're going to do is, you'll notice as we've increased the contrast, the background details is lost. So we can run this action inside the master contrast folder called highlight reduce strong. So we can click play on this action, and you'll see at its default 50% it has already brought back some detail in the background. So let's drag it to 0, then to 100 to see the effect. Back to 0 and start dragging to the right until we're happy. And I think around 60% is looking good. So next we want to work with these colors and really bring out a lot more saturation in them. So what we can do is close our master contrast folder, go inside our master looks folder, scroll down, and there's a boost color section. So let's begin with boosting the red. So if we just click on boost red, click play, and you'll see it has just targeted the red tones and increased the saturation. It's created a separate layer for us, so we can just drag the opacity down to 0 to 100 to see the effect. So 100 is too strong for what we want, so let's just drag it up a little bit. 43%. Next we want to bring out this yellow a bit more. So let's find yellow, boost yellow, click play. Next we want to boost the blues. Boost blue. Bring this up the top. See what boost yellow looks like when we bring it up the layer order. So that's looking good. Next we'll see if we can target these purple tones. So let's go boost purple. Play, bring this up the layer order. I think that's looking good. So next, let's go back into our contrast folder, master contrast, and let's take a look at HDR light action. So this will bring out some sharpness throughout the image. So click play on HDR light. And you can see at its default stacked at the bottom, it's already brought out a bit of sharpness. We'll bring up the layer order here. So I think about here is looking good. So if we drag the opacity to 0, 100, 0, I think around 40% is looking good. So I want to go back into the contrast folder and see if we turn on more of these contrast for light image folders, see what effects we get. So let's turn on 11. Look at 9, 8, 12. I think 11's looking pretty good. So if we just drag to 0 opacity and turn it up, you see it just bring it a bit more contrast and really crunches the contrast around his face. So I am pretty happy with that. So let's now sharpen the image and we'll compare what we've got against the original. So click play on finished sharpen. Use a radius of 0.3 and a sharpness of around somewhere around 30% is good. So let's turn on our layer below, original photo, compare the two. So you can see just to the left hand side here, the original photo, it's very blurry, washed out compared to our right. So let's hold down shift and click on our mask to hide the mask and turn on the original photo. And turn on our top layer, and there you can see the difference. You can see we've increased the contrast quite a lot and has kept the background detail nicely. We've boosted the colours and just overall the image is looking much better. Before, after. So the great thing about this photo kit is that we can go down to any one of these layers and simply adjust the opacity. Oh, we'll turn off the top layer and our original photo. So we can turn off, we can experiment, tweak all the effects that we've added to help build the image. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to close down this file and we're going to open up the original photo again and just work with the actions alone. So let's close down this image and open up the original photo and let's start. So let's go inside our contrast folder and let's try one of these actions here. So let's try intense and see what result we get. So that's far too intense for what we want, so let's drag this to 0. We'll bring it up a little bit. So it's helped at around 30%, so let's now also run enhance it. So that's brought out some nice detail now around his face, but we've got that same problem again of the background being blown out. So we can first look at enhance it at 0% and 100%. So let's go around 60%. We need to bring back some of the detail in the background. So let's go to our highlight reduce strong. Click play. Let's move it down one layer. And let's check the opacity to 0 and 100%. So I think around 85 is looking good. So now let's go into our looks folder. And let's experiment with one of these actions. So let's have a look at smile effect. So that's added a nice grade over the image. You can see some purple throughout the boy here and some yellow in the highlights. So if we just drag the opacity of this to 100, you'll see that 0 and 100. So start off at 0 and bring it up. Around 70%, it's looking nice. So next we want to bring out a lot more sharpness, especially in his face. So if we go into our master contrast folder, let's have a look at our HDR strong contrast and see what we get. So that is too strong for what we want. Let's move it down the layer order and have a look. I think around here is looking fine. It's at 50%. Let's bring it to 0 and bring it up a little bit. That is looking pretty good. So I think that is looking good. Let's back into our contrast folder. Let's apply a vignette. Just bring this back out. And lastly, let's sharpen it. Only really needs a little bit. And let's make a comparison between the original photo and what we've got now. Click on play on before after comparison, and you can see a big difference there. So let's delete this top layer. Let's flatten our image, and add more, and we'll just import our original photo back over the top, and we'll turn it on and off to see the difference. So you can see just around his eyes how much clarity that's brought out.